Well, it's telling me we're live. As usual, I must confirm because, as you know, we have had some audio issues in the past. In the meantime, occupy yourselves with the big fat set of titties. Well, actually, two sets of titties on the screen here. I figured it's been a trying week. Everything going on in the Ukraine and Russia. You guys deserved an extra set of tits. I know everyone is so torn up over that. So let me just get this. Of course, my Facebook is loading slowly. Just a moment. Eventually, I'll get to the point where I'm actually doing something reasonably entertaining. Let's see. It's been a trying week. Everything. Hey, it's working. All right. Good fucking shit. Fantastic. And now we can do what we do here. As you know, the reason we put the big tits on the screen at the start of every show is so you have something again to look at while I check the audio, because you never know if the audio is actually working until you're fucking live. And also a sort of reminder, a talisman, whatever you want to call it, just something that you guys can say, hey, the big tits are here. It's time to start the show. And like I said, a tough week, so we went with two sets of titties getting mashed together, because who doesn't like that? So tell your friends, if they like tits, then this is a great place to be, because even if the rest of the show sucks total ass, if I'm on here for an hour and this show just blows donkey dick, at least it will start and finish with big titties on the screen. And I think that's something. You know what? We always provide something, even if it's just an absolute fucking clunker of a show. So at the top and end of every show, of course, we do display those big titties. And if you have friends who like big tits, you can tell them to check out the live streams at Mike Montone on YouTube, and Facebook.com/The Savage Crew is where I do the other one. I'm thinking of adding a Twitch stream to that. So maybe in the relative near future. The other social media platforms: Instagram at Gary_Moyler, Moyler, Twitter at Mike Montone, and of course the audio version of all this. For those of you who, for whatever bizarre reason, have no interest in big tits, you can check out the audio version of this, the Savage Sacktap, on Spotify, iTunes, and pretty much wherever else podcasts can be downloaded. And now, what do you say we get down to the business at hand? War. Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Tell you what it's good for. Advertising revenue, bitches. Since we cannot avoid the Ukraine story, we will jump right into that. But we'll also have some fun talking about a politician who blacked out and yelled at a bunch of children, and another woman who rode teenage dick in exchange for vape pens. Hold on to your oversized fur hats, comrades. There is a fresh episode of the Savage Sacktap starting right now.
You're listening to the Savage Sacktap. It's not a podcast, it's not a half-cast, it's just a quick shot to the balls to help you finish off the week. We're cutting through the bullshit, filling your Friday with rage-fueled logic, and cracking a few jokes along the way. So grab a bag of frozen peas. There's a Savage Sacktap coming your way.
Smooth, lascivious, salacious, outrageous.
Of course, the unfortunate piece of all of this is that once the show begins, the big tits must go away so we can make room for other things on screen. But fear not, they will return at the end of the show. So just a second there. There we are. Bye-bye to the big tits for now. All right. Get some notes up here, and we'll kick things off. What did I want to do? I should probably introduce myself. I am Mike Montone. This is Savage Sacktap, and tonight I did want to start with a song. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Jesus fucking Christ. That bitch is she's probably thrilled right now because it has been a week of people making asses out of themselves on the internet thanks to this Russia and Ukraine situation. Just Twitter, an absolute disaster. Just celebrities and everybody, pouring their shit out there. You can't avoid it. Cannot avoid talk about the Ukraine. Everyone's an expert. Everyone knows. Here's what do we got? Who did I see tweeting this shit? Fucking Rob Reiner. 'Cause he's always spouting off about something. Let me get his shit up here. Of course. Yes, Rob Reiner. Well, an evil, murderous autocrat invades a non-threatening sovereign nation in an insane attempt to enhance his power and destroy Western democracy. The U.S. continues its quest for the more perfect union with the nomination of the first black female justice to the Supreme Court. What a day. What a day. Very exciting. How is that really a big piece of Rob Reiner's life? I mean, I guess it's nice. I don't, I don't either way. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about who our Supreme Court nominee is. And I just don't. I know people get every time they have one, people go fucking crazy. The Kavanaugh shit was the best. That was fucking awesome. I will say, that was fun. I like beer. He's having fucking devil's triangles. I know a guy who can only reach orgasm if he's in a devil's triangle. He will never be nominated to the Supreme Court. But yeah, it must be just fucking exhausting to be one of those people who they have to weigh in on everything. Like, I love all fucking his Rob Reiner's work is fantastic. He's a funny, creative guy, but this is just fucking obnoxious. Nobody asked, nobody cares. And this has nothing to do with a particular political viewpoint. It's just, the whole thing where we become experts on everything. None of us is smart enough to be a fucking expert on everything, on race, on pandemics, on Eastern European politics. But it's like, it's become almost like parody. Like, used to be the joke, like, oh, tomorrow everyone's going to be an expert on Eastern European politics. But now it actually happens. You're almost like a fucking hack for making the joke. And frankly, everyone that's doing it is just arguing points using propaganda and faulty information that's been either passed down through a massive filter of media and government on our side, which is like, the CNN cabals of the world, whatever their end goal is. And then what's the other side? You got fucking Putin and Ukraine. I'm sure every motherfucker involved on either side of that conflict is in some way shady as fuck. And on top of that, none of us has any real understanding of sort of the greater historical context of what's going on. So why fucking waste all of this time on social media just making yourself off to be sort of a self-righteous asshole? Like, it just doesn't. It's just a complete waste of one's breath, I feel like. As far as the people actually involved in the conflict, like the people in Ukraine who are like picking up fucking weapons to defend their neighborhoods, that's badass. That shit's pretty fucking cool. The people who are, sitting in LA or Manhattan, fucking chiming in on Twitter, not so much. It's amazing though how the fucking mainstream media just drives this. Like, first it was COVID, and then, all right, Corona's over. Then it was Rogan saying bad words, and nobody gave a shit. Spotify's like, yeah, we're not doing anything about this. Nils Lofgren sucks. Nobody cares about Nils Lofgren. That went away. So now they're like, well, what the fuck do? We have this Ukraine situation. So maybe we can make a couple bucks off of this. And this was the first video that was sent to me, and I fucking love it. Let me get Reiner the fuck out of here. This is great. It was just kind of I'm sure it was just just their pre-programmed ad block, but hold on a sec. Fucking what am I doing? There it is. There's the share button. Fucking CNN. Gotta love them. So here is Kiev. They're getting shelled. Air raid sirens are going off. Wait for it.
And a little bit of chicken fried. Cold beer on Friday night. A pair of jeans that fit just right.
Sorry for the choppy video there. I accidentally hit the pause button a couple times. As usual, I was hitting the vape before coming on this evening. First of all, that song absolutely blows. I fucking hate chicken fried. It fucking it stinks, and I don't like it. It's not even an insult that they played a commercial after that, because it's CNN. They got to play commercials at some point. But anyone who died during those air raids, the fact that Chicken Fried was played in conjunction with their demise, that's a horrible, horrible insert. That needs to be repaid karmically on whoever programmed that particular commercial in there. That's fucking terrible. And I believe that was Applebee's. I believe they were they also the offenders who during the college football season they were using that fancy like date night song like every fucking commercial. I couldn't even watch college football this year because every commercial break that fucking fancy like Applebee's, fancy like Applebee's on a date night commercial is being played. That song fucking sucks too. There is nothing. Fucking pop country blows. There's some country music is very good. Like if it was like Johnny Cash, Merle Haggard, like those guys, those really sad booze hounds who are just drinking shitloads of whiskey, trying to drown all the bad memories from childhood. Those guys are cool. And then anything about kicking the Taliban's ass is usually a good country song. And then after that, the entire fucking genre just falls off a cliff. But that, very rare is it that CNN isn't the most embarrassing thing on the internet these days. But of course, like I said at the top of the show here, someone did come through and bail out Gal Gadot, who you may recall during the early days of COVID did that incredibly embarrassing Imagine video, and here she is. Let me get this queued up. Oh, this is amazing. I was watching it. I almost wanted to stop watching this video when I first saw it because I wanted to watch it and surprise myself on live here with you guys, but I couldn't contain myself. I watched the whole thing, and I'm sure many of you have seen it. It's this, Marianne. What's her name? Marianne whatever. I got it in the notes here. Fuck is she? Marianne. She was in 90210, I guess. What's this broad's name? I had it somewhere. I don't know. Marianne, some fucking shit. Oh, and Anna Lynn McCord. That's it. Yeah. Wow. Does she come off? She comes off as a bigger. I came off as a jackass not knowing her name. She comes off as a massive jackass for fucking. I guess she wrote the poem. She had to, right? Because it's not like there was previously a Dear President Vladimir Putin poem floating about out there, right? They don't not just plucking those off trees. I mean, at least imagine as little regard as I have for the Beatles, at least it was out there in the zeitgeist. It appears that she just pulled this out of her ass. Also, the the sleeveless turtleneck is just a look that doesn't make sense. What fucking conditions are you wearing a turtleneck, but you don't need sleeves? That's a little much. But what the fuck does she have back there? Some sort of African statue? I feel like that's a in this day and age, that feels like a racist thing. Anyway, let's get to this just terrible poem.
Dear President Vladimir Putin, I'm so sorry that I was not your mother. If I was your mother, you would have been so loved, held in the arms of joyous light. Never would the stories plight the world unfurled before our eyes, a pure demise of nations sitting peaceful under a night sky. If I was your mother, the world would have been warm. So much laughter and joy, and nothing would harm. I can't imagine the stain, the soul stealing pain that the little boy you must have seen and believed, and the formulation of thought quickly.
It honestly, it just sounds like she's talking about a little boy who was taken down into the laundry room and diddled by his uncle during wrestling practice. I don't know. I don't know if that little boy necessarily grows up to be a ruthless warmongering well, I guess the president, dictator, apply whatever political term you would like. Let's see a little more. Get this out of here.
Taught that you lived in a cruel, unjust world. Is this why you now decide no one will get the best of you?
Again, that does sound like an uncle got the best of him. A lot of this just sounds like something you would read to a molestation victim.
Is this why you do not hide nor away shy from?
I fucking hate that. Nor away shy. You mean shy away. That's what you meant to say, right? That's what it should have been. Nor shy away. Nor away shy. This is one of my big beefs with poetry, is bullshit like that. When you try to trick us into thinking that you're deep and insightful because you just rearrange words. A sentence in the words you rearrange. That doesn't make you more insightful. That just makes you an asshole.
Taking back the world. It wasn't because so early in life, all that strife wrapped your little body with fear. If I was your mother, if the world was cold, I'd have died to make you warm. I'd have died to protect you from the unjust.
Frankly, if she were to die right now, I think she'd be doing everybody a huge favor. If right in the middle of this video, she just fucking dropped, we'd all be thrilled. Of course, then we wouldn't get to finish watching this train wreck. So I guess, what I'm saying is there are trade-offs in life. But why die for Putin when you could die for the audience? If anyone deserves it, it's us.
The violence, the terror, the uncertainty. I would have died to give you life. Oh, dear Mr. President Putin.
Oh, dear.
If only I'd been your mother. Perhaps the torture of unwrit youth would not within your heart imbue ascription to such fealty against that world.
Fucking bullshit that she could even tell us what any of that means. I'm relatively well read, and it would take me a good fucking 5-10 minutes of deciphering to whatever the fuck that means. Fealty against. And I guess she put the subtitles in, and she went apostrophe against instead of against. This is all infuriating.
You thought was so cruel. Perhaps you would hold dear human life, and on this
You would hold human life dear. You don't have to say you would hold dear human life. Stop it.
night, instead of Mother Russia, you would call me. And I would set your mind quite free with the love that only a mother can give and only a mother can take away.
Was that a reference to like a mother smothering a baby, or I don't I don't understand that. That line didn't even make sense. Was it like an homage to those kids who fucking, they hide the pregnancy from their family for 9 months and then they give birth in a fast food bathroom and then just kind of, they flush it or they throw it in a dumpster behind the Wendy's?
When holds she doesn't the harm at bay and leaves her boy for the promise of a man. Whatever your story, Mr. President Putin, I can't imagine how it feels in your heart, but I know if I was your mother, that would be a start towards the awareness.
Was he abandoned as a child? I need to look this up. Was Putin abandoned as a child? It does not appear, based at least on a very cursory Google search, that Putin was abandoned as a child. So she just made that part up.
Of what a powerful being of light you could be if your mind was only free from the violence you've seen when you were just 2 or 3. I cannot believe I was born too late in a different place when I would have loved you so, watched you play wherever you go.
Okay. That's the I don't did she go on longer than 2 minutes and 20 seconds? That's the Twitter clip that I got. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess she's a hot chick. She should stick to that, not poetry. Poetry is terrible. That was, to me, what makes so the part of that to me that's worse than the Imagine video is that she's an actress. She's a professional, the paid actress. She was apparently the lead in the 90210 reboot, I guess, a few years back. So she's relatively accomplished. She does TV roles. She's not a huge deal, but she should be able to sell that way fucking better. She should dominate the spoken word. As embarrassing as the sort of affectations in the Imagine song, imagine all the people. Those were very embarrassing. But to me, there's more of a failure on her part because she really should, as an actress, be much better at delivering the spoken word. This really felt like a sophomore English major at a coffee house who just wrote a fucking a poem about getting dumped by their high school boyfriend or girlfriend. Absolutely, just absolutely useless. I do appreciate that her Wikipedia has already been updated to reference this train wreck of a poem. So the internet provides you a platform on which to make a complete ass out of yourself, as you folks understand when you tune in to see this once a week. But it also, as Wikipedia and the editors of Wikipedia have shown us, creates a lasting record of that behavior for all to remember. But it's not, you know, she posted a very douchey poem. Yes, that's true. But I almost feel like at least she's in Hollywood where you're like, all right, whatever, maybe she's, it was a shot in the dark. You're trying to leverage, get some social media clout to land a role. If it's for that, if you're doing it for shit like that, I'm always like, all right, whatever, business, do your thing, make your fucking money. It's the other people. It's the rest of the crowd out there. The guy you had physics with in 10th grade, or someone you played little league, or you had a summer share with, is now posting everything is just going to be about Russia and Eastern European politics, when 2 weeks ago it was all about fucking Rogan, and before that it was about COVID, and before that it was about the Capitol, and before that it was about the election, and before that it was about Black Lives Matter, and before that it was about fucking whatever else. These people who just they I don't know if they realize that they stick out like a sore thumb, because if you're not doing it, which there are a lot of people who aren't doing it on social media either, who are just still posting their mundane bullshit, fucking pictures of cats, their lunch, vacation, beer, sports, whatever. um if you're one of those people looking at this, the people who do stuff like this, or even just post a bunch of, are constantly in the back and forth arguments over it, they stick out like a sore thumb, and they just look like major fucking assholes. So I don't understand it. I don't understand the mental energy that goes into it. I don't understand the time that goes into it. Like, if you're having that back and forth Facebook argument with someone that you haven't seen in person in fucking years, like, I don't understand what chunk of your day does that take up? Like, are you just bored sitting at your cubicle, and so you're just like, fuck it, like, I gotta get some energy out here. I hate my fucking job. Let me just fucking go at it with this cunt that I haven't seen since high school graduation. It'll be fun. I always thought they were an asshole. Let me fucking push some buttons. I guess I could understand that, but it seems a little too self-righteous for that. So I don't know. There was one bit of footage from there have been intense talks going on between the two sides, and there was one bit of footage that I wanted to share with you guys that I did find incredibly incredibly powerful. If I can get it queued up here, because I mean, there is a war going on, and it's not all here for mockery. Some of this is very, very serious stuff that I think we should discuss. So here's some footage of those high level negotiations that had been going on.
Sure, you know where the impound yard is?
Oh, stop stalling. Come on.
I can't think. It's all this noise.
Or is it because I've built a stronghold around Greenland? I've driven you out of Western Europe, and I've left you teetering on the brink of complete annihilation.
I'm not beaten yet. I still have armies in the Ukraine.
The Ukraine. You know what the Ukraine is? It's a sitting duck. A road apple, Newman. The Ukraine is weak. It's feeble. I think it's time to put the hurt on the Ukraine.
I come from Ukraine. You not say Ukraine weak.
Yeah, well, we're playing a game here, pal.
Ukraine is came to you. How about I take your little boras?
Oh my god, I fucking love it. I had to play that. That has been stuck in my fucking head since probably, I guess, yesterday morning, when I opened up to look at the post. When I get to work, I start checking the morning's news, and it was all Ukraine. I went to Twitter, all Ukraine, and literally, if you say the word Ukraine around me, the first thing that pops into my head is fucking Ukraine is game to you. I fucking love that. Just one of the great Seinfeld moments of all time. And I'm so glad there are like two parties right now with regard to this Ukraine thing. There are people who are, doing poems to Putin and shouting about Western democracy and all sorts of other shit. And then there's everyone else who's just a huge Seinfeld fan and who's just walking around giggling, saying, I think it's time to put the hurt on the Ukraine. And we're having a good time because that's what World War III is. It's fun. We're having a good time. Look, the world's been a fucking clusterfuck. I'm sitting in 11th grade and I find out that 10 minutes ago a plane slammed into the fucking World Trade Center. It's been a clusterfuck since. So you know what? At this point, some weirdos in Eastern Europe are fighting over a little bit of land. I understand that there are horrible things happening. I have been to war myself, so I certainly grasp the gravity of the situation for those involved. But there are so many fucking armed conflicts going on around the globe right now that it's laughable. Not that people are dying in other countries, but the way Americans are responding to this. Like, we are just trained to see the news and react like barking fucking seals. It's embarrassing. Like, because there's massive other open air slave markets in sections of the Middle East. There are people get, heads and hands getting chopped off, women's rights being abused. You got in China on one side, they got the fucking Uyghur Muslims are being put into camps. On the other side, there's, Taiwan and Hong Kong and all this shit. Nobody pretends to give a fuck. I think we've seen the video of like John Cena capitulating to the Chinese, and the NBA doesn't seem to. They're quite willing to turn a blind eye, and Hollywood and everything. If people really gave a shit about any of this, war and human rights stuff that they pretend to on Twitter, it would literally be the only thing anyone was talking about, because that's how much it goes on around the fucking globe. So the fact that it only comes out when it becomes the sort of global crisis du jour for cable news, that's the big tell that people are just getting yanked around by the fucking genitals by these media companies. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. But we did have to. I could not discuss the Ukraine without getting that Seinfeld clip in there. Absolutely tremendous. In my opinions, one of the best moments from the show. We will move on now from or for Thomas Hager. From this topic, moving on, we will to another subject, discussion of which needs to take place. Let me get this up here. Let me get this broad's picture up on the screen. We got a lot of crazy fucking white women in this episode tonight. I hope you guys are here for it. Bring out the next psychotic white broad. Here she is. She looks like she'd be all right for a little roll in the hay. That's too far zoomed in to get her up there. A lot of makeup, but what are you going to do? Probably covering up something. Here it is. What's the headline? U.S. House candidate allegedly went on drunken tirade, vomited at preteen sleepover. An Oklahoma Democratic congressional candidate is under fire for allegedly verbally attacking several preteen girls while at the home of a friend who was hosting a sleepover with multiple middle school girls present. Abby, by the way, it was a chick who did it, so it's funny. If it's a guy who's at a sleepover with a bunch of preteen girls, this story takes an entirely different turn. Abby Broyles, a candidate for Oklahoma's 5th congressional district, went to the friend's house on February 11th and became more and more aggressive as she continued to drink wine throughout the night, according to nondoc.com. The report states that Broyles insulted the girls attending the sleepover after becoming intoxicated, according to multiple people interviewed by the news outlet, who said she allegedly said one girl was an acne fucker and hurled multiple inserts at other young girls as well. Hispanic fucker, she allegedly said to one girl, and judgy fucker to another. You know what's interesting about this is you got to think that this scene or scenes like it just play out in the suburbs every weekend. Like they just don't get reported because the women in question aren't running for office. But I have to think that suburban sort of, I guess it would be millennial parents my age. I'm a millennial. Social groups are full of this kind of behavior, and as it would have been with Gen X and the Boomers before us, um, people I think tend to look at the suburbs as kind of a wholesome family place where wild and nefarious activity doesn't happen. But I don't. That couldn't be further from the truth because you have to understand who lives in the suburbs. And for everyone who's living in the suburbs, and it's like they're the titan of industry on Wall Street, and they just own a big sprawling fucking suburban home, or they're a local small business. So people who are living in the suburbs and doing well. There's also a shitload of people who have sort of traded in their life's dreams and ambitions for the security of a family and a suburban home. And essentially, what happens is people, in your mid-20s, your parents kind of they want to guilt you into getting married, and when you have grandkids, when are you going to buy a house, when are you going to do this, when are you going to do that. And a lot of people, in an effort to appease their parents, will go down those roads. They'll get married. They'll get over their head in debt on a house, so they got to keep working a job that pays the mortgage, even if it's sucking their fucking soul out of their body. They have kids to provide for. They have a wife to keep happy, lest she winds up banging her Soul Cycle instructor. They wind up in this sort of just this suburban trap. It's like a gilded cage almost. It's a sort of soft prison. So while there might be, the guy down the street coaches high school football and derives great fulfillment from that, or one guy, he owns the local bagel shop. Those guys are happy. They enjoy their lives. The suburbs work for them. There are also a lot of these people who just did it because it was the thing to do, and they thought that was the next step to take in life. And what happens is they have kids, and they go to these get-togethers with the other parents, and they all look. You get to a point where you realize that everybody is getting fucked up. Like they make you kind of think, oh no, after college people stop like partying or whatever, people stop doing it after their 20s. Not the case. There are plenty of people 30s through 50s who are out there getting really fucked up every night. They get drunk, they do drugs. A lot of times it's like booze combined with Xanax, booze and coke, all of that shit. They get into fights. There's all sorts of sexual deviance. There's infidelity. There's probably a lot of, I would imagine, and I would love to see. I always wish there was sort of a magic like graph maker where you could say, "Hey, what are the actual statistics on?" I would love, and it would just give you the unvarnished breakdown, the sabermetrics on different aspects of human life. Like I'm not talking about like an actual thing like a Pew poll or whatever. I'm talking about like if we could actually get the truth in graph form, if some sort of otherworldly magic could look into the dresser drawers of everyone living in suburbia, and could they find a strap-on dildo and a ball gag, right? I am of the belief that there is a lot of pegging that goes on in the suburbs. Definitely a lot of swapping and swinging, I believe. People banging each other's teenage sons and daughters. The suburbs are an absolute cesspool, and it's almost insulting as someone who grew up as a vandal, a teenage a vandal in the suburbs, going around throwing eggs, throwing Slurpees at things. Engaged in a lot of pranks and shenanigans. We were always getting scolded always getting a good talking to from our elders. When really you realize as you get older, they were doing the shit that they were doing was probably far more fucked up than driving around and throwing an egg or two on a Friday night. Like they're out there, they were getting into some fucking creep shit for sure. As evidenced by this woman who's running for office, she should be a pillar of the community, is getting wasted and yelling at children at a sleepover. Um, Sarah Matthews, a mother of one of the young girls who attended the sleepover, told KFOR that Broyles had insulted multiple girls at the party. She proceeded to tell me that Abby Broyles had been at the house and was very drunk and calling them all motherfuckers this, fucker that, Matthews said. Broyles called somebody acne fucker, somebody Hispanic fucker, called my daughter judgy fucker for not wanting to sleep with a blanket that she cleaned up wine with. However, in an interview with KFOR, Broyles admitted to going to the house where the sleepover took place. She said her friend handed her a medication that gave her an adverse reaction, causing her to hallucinate. I love, by the way, this is literally, like, if she wasn't running for office, we never would have known about this. This is just a basic bitch booze bag. She's drunk. She's pilled up. She's making ethnic comments. She called a teenage girl a judgy fucker because she didn't want to sleep under a wine-soaked blanket. Absolutely tremendous. By the way, sleeping at a sleepover is always fucking uncomfortable to begin with because you're like sleeping. Usually you'll wind up like, if not on the floor, your best case scenario is that maybe you'll get like kind of an uncomfortable couch spot or in like a chair or a recliner. There are very few comfortable sleepover spots. So to do it under a wine-soaked blanket would be particularly miserable. But here's her rebuttal. She says, she asked me to come over. She asked me to bring some wine. We had wine and sushi, and a couple of hours later, we were upstairs. But the opening of this sounds like lesbian erotic fiction. I read the first sentence or two there, and I'm like, all right, she's bringing over wine. They're having a romantic sushi dinner. They're going to go watch a movie in the private theater. Someone is getting their pussy eaten by another chick, and I like the sound of that. Of course, that is not where this story goes. She says, for years, I have struggled with stress and anxiety and insomnia. I took the bar exam on 2 hours of sleep. I mean, this is how far this goes back for me. And she knows that. And she gave me a medication I had never taken before, and I had an adverse reaction. Instead of helping me sleep, I hallucinated. And I don't remember anything until I woke up or came to, and I was throwing up in a hamper. And there's just so much to love about this story. She draws a line from being nervous before the bar exam, a common experience, right? I'm sure if you've taken the bar exam, you've been a bit nervous before. Butterflies, right? Big investment, law school all the time, the money, the studying, the ramen, what have you. She draws a connection between that and getting boozed up at a children's sleepover, puking in a hamper, and cursing at a bunch of 11-year-olds in a fog of narcotics and wine. I love it. During the interview, she apologized to the families of the young girls and had a message for people who think she's making excuses for her actions. You don't know me. I would never, ever say anything hurtful. I've never, ever would say something hurtful like those things. And that's why I know I was not in my right mind. I know that that's what happened because of that combination of things. And I deeply, deeply regret it. And again, just a perfect apology for the suburban booze bag sort of housewife. That is such a you don't know me is something shouted by teenagers from the 1990s and early 2000s white teenagers, of course, who were really into rap. You don't know me. Jerry Springer guests and cast members of Name Your Favorite Real Housewives season. You Don't Know Me is like the perfect sort of marker of the absence of intelligence when explaining your action. You don't know me. Well, based on reports and apparently your own admission, you were drunk and pilled up, puking in a hamper, hurling ethnic slurs and other insults at a group of 11-year-olds. So we may not know you intimately, but we can infer a lot from that one night of your life. Moving on, more embarrassing behavior uh, by millennial Caucasian millennial women. Let me get the next Thomas Hager. The local suburban gym is a festering pile of infidelity. Well, that's certainly good to know. I'll have to start hanging out at suburban gyms. Let me get this other broad's picture up here, because again, just a banner week for white women embarrassing themselves. Here she is. I'm sure it's just her sweatshirt, but she looks like she has huge fucking traps. Anyway, Tennessee woman had sex with 9 high school students in exchange for vape pens. Residents of a small Tennessee town are shaken up after a woman was indicted for having sex with at least 9 local high school students in exchange for vape pens. Like I said, the suburbs be full of people banging teenagers. Melissa Blair, 38, was arrested on Tuesday and charged with 18 counts of statutory rape, 4 counts of human trafficking by patronizing prostitution, solicitation of a minor, and forfeiture of personal property, WTVC-TV reported. According to McMinn County Sheriff Joe Guy, there are at least 9 confirmed male victims. I feel like that term should be used quite loosely when reading this story. We'll get to that in a moment. With incidents occurring from spring 2020 to late 2021. By the way, spring 2020 to late 2021, 9 teenagers banging a grown woman. That it is impressive how long they were able to keep a fucking lid on that. Parents told WTVC that Blair reached out to her victims, all of whom were between the ages of 14 and 17, and offered them items such as vape pens in exchange for sex. I'm gonna be honest. When I first read the headline, I thought that she had been receiving the vape pens as payment for having sex with the teenagers, which I thought was kind of weird because you're an adult and you can just go out and buy the vapes yourself. But no, this is, I think, even better. Not only do these kids have bragging rights that they banged, she's not a teacher. I guess she works for the Booster Club. But that they banged a 30 some odd year old woman. They also have a hookup on vapes, which is pretty awesome. Obviously I get my I smoke most of my weed out of a vape pen these days, but I just get it delivered and I have to pay for it. It's just a delivery service. They pull up, you give them the money and they give you the vapes, but they don't bang you. You don't get to bang them. You don't get sucked. So kind of an interesting business model. What if we just did have 35-year-old women driving around delivering vapes and sucking people off? That would be fun. I'd pay for that service. Police began investigating Blair after the school district received an anonymous letter. She's not a teacher or employee. She's involved in the school's booster club. Blair is banned from school property and school activities. I mean, she probably used to set up one hell of a table at the bake sale. We are devastated at this point, a mother of one of the victims who asked to remain anonymous told the outlet. I cannot in words describe what it feels like to be going through what we're going through right now. It's every emotion that you can imagine, and none of them are happy. First of all, the only one there probably are people unhappy in that. I'm sure the mother is unhappy. She's fucking frigid. She doesn't have her son having a good time. The father's probably wildly jealous. It's like, this kid's fucking. Here, your mother's 35 and I haven't fucked her in years. Yeah, he's probably just in a salty fucking mood. People focus mostly on the perpetrator, she continued. They don't realize how it devastates a family, how the families are at home. We don't know what to do next. I have no idea how to go forward with this. I don't know. Yeah. You know how it's destroying the family because you're cock blocking your son. Your son was having an awesome time until you came along and had to fucking blow it up. What the fuck? Like, this is, I remember I was in ninth grade. My friends and I used to go get drunk in the park. We would all, you steal some booze from your parents and you just go meet in the park. We'd smoke cigars. We would drink booze. Sometimes we'd be able to, you convince like a chick to hang out with you, and you get wasted. And it was, like a fucking John Mellencamp song. And I was going out one night to do that, and my parents caught me taking the alcohol out because I used to just go throw it in a bush. Like during, when they weren't around, I'd take some out, put it in a water bottle, throw it in a bush somewhere in town, and go retrieve it on my way out. This time I didn't have a chance to do that because I had some football practice or whatever that day. So I was just like, fuck it, I'll walk out. They were hanging out on the front lawn. They saw the bottle in my pocket. It was horrible. And they dumped it out in front of me, and I got grounded for the summer. And I remember just being furious that my good time had been destroyed. I can't imagine how this kid feels. These kids, 9 of these kids are getting grown up pussy and vapes. And then someone had to go fuck it up. Jesus. They must hate the kid whose mother fucked it all up. Because it was a mother. It wasn't a father. If it was a father, the father would have just been like, look, just give me your number. Look, let's just we'll both hit this different times. We'll make her wash her pussy out so we're not, coming across each other's leavings. But yeah, this sounds pretty good, son. Good find. Just let's keep this on the down low from mom. We're all going to have an awesome time. And by the way, she was in the booster club. Good stuff for a booster club. I remember our booster club would give us post-game meals, and then there would be an end-of-season awards banquet. But frankly, I would vastly have preferred a blowjob and a vape. And yeah, I don't... I guess this happened, what was this, Oklahoma? Rural America? Where is this? Tennessee. So here's the thing about flyover country. I know that it has this reputation as this sort of God-fearing, well-behaved church on Sunday, family dinners and fried chicken and going to church. That's what we believe in out here. We don't need any of that, any of them glory holes or jack-off booths that you city slickers are into. But if you have spent any time in rural America, you know that rural America is pervy as fuck. Think about, we have websites like Midwest Freaks and Nebraska Coeds. How do you think they stay in business? They're recruiting from flyover country, from rural America. You get outside of like eastern Pennsylvania, you start going west on like I-80 or Route 78 out there, and the billboards that you will see on the side of the road, every other billboard might be for a church, but in between those billboards will be other billboards for strip clubs and dildo shops. Flyover country loves to come. So this should not come as this massive surprise. So again, I think the only people truly angry about this are the mothers who are just, because women will just ruin. They love to ruin a good time. Women hate a slut. We're sexually empowered 2022, but when some chick is throwing that ass all around town, it will piss women off like no other. And then of course, probably some very frustrated husbands out there who are like, "Oh, good to know. Not only my son is hitting more ass than I am, but he's got a sweet vape hookup too. His mother won't even let me vape." So the father's just pissed off that the teenage son is clearly living his best life. Whereas again, we talked about in the last story, the father has given his life away for the gilded handcuffs of suburban America. But yeah, no, I for one would like to offer my congratulations to the young bucks who slayed this wildebeest. Sure, maybe not the belle of the ball, maybe not marriage material, but vapes and pussy are a pretty goddamn good way to relax after school. And frankly, if these parents want to see teen boys affected by a real tragedy, then maybe they should stop worrying about their sons coming and vaping and being all cool. Maybe they should consider the fact that if they were living in the Ukraine, a horny neighbor lady would be the least of their concerns. Just a little something for you to think about while you imagine all the people jizzing and ripping vapes. Do 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 do. In any case, big tits returning to the screen. Let's get this hideous bitch out of here. I will bring these hefty milkers smashed against one another back for you. There they are. It's a reminder. I don't want to get stuck behind it. A reminder for you folks, of course, and a reminder for me at the end of the show to hop into the comments section and check it out. Good to have you guys here. Thomas Hager making his presence known in the comments section as always. JD Straight Shot. We're a little confused about our start time this evening. I saw your tweet, my friend. But yeah, in any case, titties on the screen, war in the Ukraine, dinner waiting for me in the refrigerator. I have to get that going in a moment. But anyway, thank you guys for tuning in once again. What am I supposed to do here? I forget. I got distracted. I was trying to squeeze out a fart silent so it didn't ripple and get picked up by the microphone. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to plug the social media pages before I sign off. Of course. How silly of me. While you look at the tits. Facebook.com/The Savage Crew. Mike Montone on YouTube. Instagram at Gary_Moyler. Moyler. Twitter at Mike Montone. And of course, you can find the podcast, the audio version, for those of you who are not, for whatever reason, into big tits. You can find the audio version on Spotify, iTunes. It's the Savage Sacktap, and wherever else podcasts are downloaded. There's even an audio version that goes up on YouTube. If you are so averse to large breasts that you still want to use YouTube, but for whatever reason you just don't want to look at two beautiful pairs of tits being mashed together. In any case, thank you guys for tuning in. This is always one of the most fun parts of my weekend. Have yourselves a great weekend. Avoid the Ukraine if you can. I hope your travels do not take you there. Things apparently a little bit dicey. And I will catch you next time. Adios, motherfuckers.